we got here on Tuesday.
3, 2,
1, go. So we got here on Tuesday, or I did.
did.
I got here on Tuesday, and that was kind of, I remember my heart racing going,
It's actually
how many thousand things have I forgotten to do, and things that I haven't printed
Not
out,
as many
and
as me.
all that. Oh no, I think we all had a few of those. But we had a plan. So the first thing we had to do was organise the registrations.
Yes.
And we had spent quite a lot of time. We used an off-the-shelf system called Humanitix, and the reason we chose that was they had a really good ticketing sort of platform, but also all of their profits go to a charitable cause, and so we felt that that was a really nice way.
We made our choice first, didn't we?
We made our choice first. It was
education.
Māori Pacifica
Education.
girls' education, young women's education.
So the ticket fee stuff for that is
Yeah.
also connected.
Yeah,
to the
so
nice story.
there's a little bit of a nice link to what some of the things that the family has done over the years and some of the trust work that's happened.
Yeah.
And so registrations, we had it sort of set up, and I was supposed to do, really complicated diagrams and run sheets about the process and everything else, but I had it all in my head, so I just briefed everybody and crossed my fingers and hoped to God that it all worked.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant. And
Yeah.
we had all our children, or some of our children. I had my daughter and her partner, and my cousin Martin Williams, who spoke at the marae at the Pōwhiri on Thursday, involved in doing all the registrations, and it just went like clockwork.
Yeah,
And
it was so smooth. It was
it wa-
unbelievably smooth. That was a false sense of security.
It was a false sense of security. We got through registrations and thought, oh wow, that's great. That's the really big job done.
Nailing this. It's great.
And then it started getting a lot more complicated. And then of course Thursday we had our pōwhiri over at the marae, and that was
Amazing.
incredibly special. So we started here, gathered the family outside the Waitaha, and Hugh spoke to us and gave us the lowdown on what we were supposed to be doing.
Welcomed all the bishops and the VIP guests, because there's not only family, there are definitely VIP guests, mostly from the church.
When I was registering, because I had to register all the VIPs, well, I did, and I actually quite enjoyed that because I got to meet all these lovely people, and as they were registering, they were saying they were all so lovely, and they said, oh, thank you so much for inviting us to come. And I said, well, you're more as much part of the Williams family through the connection of faith as those of us who have the blood ties. So, and the same with, I talked to a lovely chat with Naomi from the Karuwha Trust.
Right.
Same thing, and I said, you're carrying on Henry's message and doing a lot of actual on the ground mahi, which he would have really appreciated, I think, because seems like both Henry and Marianne and William and Jane were really they put their hands to the tools and really did the hard work. So and I feel like acknowledging that other people who are doing the same thing, carrying that on.
And the pōwhiri on the marae was so special. The whole walk across the Hikoi, that was quite shocking when we got to the Waharoa and realised
how
big
many
the queue
people
was.
there were.
And there was lots of wrangling to get the women to the front, and then there was the whole procession through the Wharenui into the... I was amazed it didn't run like 2 hours late, just
just processing the family.
Getting onto the marae was so... But it all went very, very, very well.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the drone shot, because as we were walking across the bridge, I looked up and I saw the drone looking down on us, and I thought, oh, that's going to be awesome. Really neat piece of footage.
And how was the weather though? Because that evening it was totally clear.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. The beach day and the picnic was like midsummer beach day.
It was
Blue
awesome.
sky, lovely, slightly windy.
But the wind was good.
But
yes.
the beach day was out at the beach, so I couldn't have been better.
Yeah.
By then I was still thinking, oh my God, everything is going so
I know.
swimmingly.
We were very much lulled into a false sense of security. But Thursday was lovely, and that finished up earlier than I thought it was going to. But it was nice because it gave everybody a chance to sort of. A lot of people had only arrived that day, and so they sort of had only just thrown their bags into their digs and all that kind of thing. So people were able to just take 5. A lot of the young headed off into town and had lots of fun.
But thinking of things that we forgot, there was all the stuff. Well, then the curveballs really started happening on the Friday,
yes,
where we had well, the barrel organ didn't turn up at
Yeah,
the
we
church.
don't even know what's happened to the barrel organ, man.
Still don't know where the
and
barrel
we're
organ
hoping he's
goes.
all right, but yeah, neither
No
he
one
or
can
his barrel or the barrel organ turned up. So the barrel organ was brought. Do you know? You probably know the story better than I do.
So Henry bought this barrel organ out from the UK, and it's like one of those little musical box things that's got a barrel with the hymns on it, and the barrel circulates and plays the hymns. It's a pipe organ sort of thing. Anyway, it's very precious, very rare, and it's in the Whanganui Regional Museum. And the New Zealand Organ Trust organised to loan it from the museum in Whanganui to the St Paul's Church here, so that we can play the hymns that Henry and Marianne played in church.
Yes.
And this organ expert was coming. We paid his flights from Christchurch to Wellington. We picked up a van. He got to Whanganui, and then he disappeared off the planet.
We haven't heard from him since.
No one's heard from him since.
So Chris Williams has been sending him emails and texts and everything. So we're hoping he's all right.
So that was a late program change.
Yes, very late.
And then we had one of the things I completely forgot was that when we had Caroline Fitzgerald's talk in the church, and supposedly for the barrel organ talk and everything else, I gave myself the job last week of organising gifts for them all. We'd started talking about church flowers, and then we're like, well, there's no point giving them a bouquet because he's travelling and flying, and so is Caroline.
That's right, yes.
And we said, okay, well, what about a book token? It's an easy gift. Everyone appreciates it. And I said, okay, I will organise book tokens for the organist today, and Caroline and Samuel Carpenter and the barrel organ guy and all of these sort of things. And then on Friday morning, John said, I remember what we were doing about gifts. We were going to give them book tokens.
And then you suddenly went, oops.
That's right. Yeah, that was a ball I definitely dropped.
Yeah.
And John said, well, the good thing about book tokens is that we can just post them.
We
and
can
say,
post them.
Grateful, thanks.
And I think we should put them with one of the program booklets.
Yeah.
And package it up really nicely. We could make a nice little flex wrap for it. Anyway, so Friday was lovely.
Those balls dropped and
yes.
curveballs were still small.
Yes, they
They were just tiny sort of.
But let's talk about Friday, because I thought Friday was wonderful. And actually it started out life as a reasonably small event with the arrival, with the dramatisation of the arrival of the first four.
So it's been
a tableau, a pageant,
dramatisation, reenactment, an arrival.
Yeah.
And
we could never agree on a name. And it's like on all of our literature and all our planning documents, people go, what's this tableau thing? Oh, that's the pageant. Oh no, that's the dramatisation. Oh no, that's the reenactment.
And I think it's still different. It's called The Arrival in the program.
I called it The Arrival. That was my.
And then the rest of us all stuck with sort of reenactment in the end, even though it wasn't a reenactment. It was.
But it was interesting because even Bishop Keto called it the dramatisation. I said yes, because I think that's what it should have been called. Yes, but anyway, so Friday, so Kate, Tim Williams' daughter, so Tim had the job of organising the reenactment, which he did amazingly, and then Kate sort of came in, towards the end to sort of help really like pull it all together, and anyway, sort the food and all the rest of it, and so it ended up becoming this amazing event for families and children. And when I got down there, all I could see was a sea of families all having fun, children running around, picnics on the grass, there were picnic rugs everywhere, everyone was enjoying the sausages, loving the cake, the sponge cake. And that's a story all on its own. That Tim,
out of nowhere
which of Marianne's daughters was the owner of the recipe book that the sponge came from? Can you remember? But anyway, he found it rattling around in some desk somewhere, and Kate said to him, "Dad, that needs to be in a museum." And then we had the now infamous Henry Williams lemon cordial.
Lemon syrup.
So there's a little story about that which I think is hilarious.
It was an awesome story.
Tell me if I get this wrong, because I always muddle up facts. But anyway, so my understanding is that Tim knew somebody who had a tree. With the grafted from
Henry Williams' original lemon tree,
which we believe may have been the first lemon tree brought to New Zealand, or one of the first.
One of the first lemon trees, grafted stock, but still fruiting. Henry's lemons.
Yeah. So he had
Tim
decided
he wanted lemon
200 litres of lemon cordial.
Lemon cordial for everyone.
And so anyway, so he arranged for someone to make this cordial. But when he went round to the person who owns the tree, there were 2 lemons on the tree. So
So it's two of Henry's
two of
lemons,
Henry's and 300
300
countdown
from
lemons.
Countdown.
So I said to Tim, I want my lemon cordial to be from the 2 lemons. I don't want any interlopers in my lemon cordial.
Anyway.
So he got quite a bit of stick about that. That was really funny.
That was really funny.
And then there was this lovely sponge cake that came out of one of Marianne's daughter's recipe books, which apparently he was refused to relinquish for the exhibition, but I don't blame him.
But the lemon syrup is a bit like that, 2 of Henry lemons. It's close enough. It's a bit like the story of the rose out at the retreat. That was an extremely precious rose, lovely yellow rambler rose called Emily Gray, bred by a Williams rose breeder. It won an amazing gold award or something at the very prestigious UK Rose Awards a long time ago.
I think it also got some mentions from the Royal Horticultural Society and all that sort of stuff.
It's very hard to find rare stock. They sourced some. They grew it, very precious rose, got taken out to the retreat. We had a ceremony last year out there with all of the museum trustees who look after the retreat, planted the Emily Gray. And on Thursday when we were setting up and we went to go and label everything, our lovely tenant out there who's done all the lawn mowing for years, we said, no, it's too much for you, we need to do the whole garden. We contracted a lawnmower, and you know where this is going.
And so the lawnmower man didn't know about the Emily
Jeff
Gray
said,
rose.
be careful along the fence line, and the lawnmower guy completely decapitated Emily
So
Gray.
the Emily Gray rose was no more.
And when we went to label it and put a sign up, here's the precious Emily Gray, there is literally
a finger
a
pointing
stump
out from
in the ground.
It'll come back.
It'll come back, but anyway. Poor Emily Gray.
Poor Emily Gray, but I think that's actually one of those hilarious stories that are news to come.
It's going to be one of those. Like
Remember the story about the Emily Gray rose? So that's one of the things that I think is so lovely, is that throughout the whole reunion we've been hearing all these incredible stories, and one of the ones which I love and that we know well was the story of Dan Russell's baptism in 1973. So at the Sunday Eucharist services, there's a tradition that if any of the family want to have their child baptised, or anyone wants to be baptised, that can happen at the Sunday service.
Yeah.
And so Canon Nigel, who's Priscilla's father, was presiding over that particular service. And as I understand it, and again you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dan Russell's parents, suddenly decided at the last minute and said, with baby Dan, and said, oh, we'd like to have Dan baptised. And so Nigel said, okay, so where are the godparents? And they went, oh, hadn't thought about the godparents. What are we going to do? And then Nigel said, the next 3 people to walk through the door are going to be the godparents.
Yeah.
And the first person to walk in was Desmond Williams? Desmond Williams, who owns Puketiti. And so fast forward several years, in his will he left Puketiti to his godson Dan Russell, so he never had children of his own. So that was actually, for me, one of the most hilarious stories. And actually yesterday it was quite funny. We were on the boat trip, and I told that story, and I said, my daughter has never been baptised. So I said, so if there are any wealthy relations on the boat and you'd like to offer to be Sarah's godparent. And actually Di Peterson came up to me today and she said, I've got quite a bit of money, I wouldn't mind being Sarah's godmother.
Yeah.
So it was hilarious. But anyway.
And there weren't any baptisms today.
There weren't any baptisms
the final Eucharist, partly possibly because we moved, but nobody had said in advance that they wanted a baptism for their child. But we also had that joke the other day, is that we thought, oh, we could just wade them all through the river and
just do it the old-fashioned way and just
plunge into the
well,
river.
I think a lot of the family got baptised yesterday inadvertently on the boat tour. So we get a wash with waves. So Friday was the beach picnic, and then Friday evening we had the hub night here, and that was a great success. I didn't make it to that. We had
it was
slightly
great.
different
it
occasion
wasn't
going.
Packed, but it was lovely. It was just casual, and people came and they ate and they went to the bar. and lovely Sam Charlesworth just sat up here with his guitar and played for the whole sort of 3 hours.
Oh, that's awesome.
There was a little bit of dancing. He played a couple of other things, but mostly his own music.
He's quite an accomplished artist, isn't he?
Yeah,
like he's got his own YouTube channel, has he? Or
he's got a Spotify account. All his music's on Spotify.
Yeah.
But then talking about people those are the other funny stories, the connections. Before we came up, my daughter said to me, she said, "Mum, I bet you $50 I'll get to the reunion and I'll find someone I know that I didn't know was a rally." And the whole family reared back and said, "Oh, we're not taking that bet." No way.
Because the chances
it took her to Saturday before she did find someone. But the other funny story was Alex Morley Hall, who's a descendant, married to Charlie Barton, who's a descendant, and she's the least cool mum in the whole world, according to her 14-year-old daughter,
right.
who, she's
14-year-old daughter.
Terrible age, but she is good mates and cousins with Tom Larkin of She Had, and her daughter's a drummer.
Oh, okay.
So when she said, "By the way, Tom, this is my daughter, and my daughter, this is Tom," or something like that, and then she went away and she said, "Yeah, he's a drummer with She Had." She was like, "Oh," and she said, "Do you think I'd get some cool
get some kudos?"
I know, funny. So those
some street cred with the daughter. That's so brilliant. Love it. Those are the sorts of stories that I think would be really, really lovely to record, and that's something I said to Priscilla. I said, I think our next project needs to be getting these stories down, because there's so many great ones.
That's massively changed from the last 2 reunions. There was like a ball or a formal occasion and dinner dance and stuff, and there was childcare and there was babysitting. And this time we made a conscious decision that the kids would be in everything all the way through, because there is no childcare situation.
Not really.
It's all just different.
And what was so wonderful was all the feedback that I've got from from closer members of my family who have young children is that the kids have absolutely loved it. They loved their little wristbands, and they loved the beach dig and all the activities and just hanging out with their cousins.
And last night at the Kaylee, we were here at 10 o'clock at night. There were like 3 and 4 year olds.
Yeah, no, there were littlies still running around.
With their dads,
but it was so cool. You probably didn't see. I went over to check out how things were going on with the movie.
Oh, no,
and there was just a sea of beanbags with all these kids.
Oh, and there were kids over there.
Yeah, and there were kids. It was absolutely packed, that room, and it was so funny because you saw these kids, and there were some of them, trying to find somewhere to sit. And I said, "Right, you're all cousins. Share a beanbag."
Yeah.
And they all did. It was just great.
And kids are so fantastic because they don't care what your name is even. They just turn up and they go, "Oh, you look like you're roughly my age," and they just start playing together.
They just start talking.
Don't know who they are. Doesn't matter whose kids they are, where it comes from.
And I loved it because on Friday evening we had a gathering up where we're staying with my sort of first cousins and all that sort of cohort, and so it was our children all meeting there, and re-establishing ties with their second cousins, and so that's been really lovely to see that age group also connecting, and like your Olivia meeting Amanda's daughter Anna,
and that was one of the things that came up in the planning process as well, all the way through when we were talking about how would we charge the cost, how would we spread the cost of hosting the whole thing, and we had conversations for weeks and weeks and weeks about setting the price of the tickets, and we wanted to make the parents subsidise the children so that it was cheap to bring children, as close to free as possible to bring the children and bring the teenagers and bring the next generation, so that they have a good time and that they meet their cousins, and when they eventually come around to 20 years time and they start thinking, shall we celebrate 2025?
Yeah, they'll go, heck yeah, because it was so great.
I had a good time.
Yeah.
Which is actually what happened to me. I had so much fun 25 years ago at the 98 reunion, and I remember thinking then, I'll definitely come again. My siblings and I were all in that teenage to early 20s.
Yeah, well, see, I missed 98, but and 73 because my parents didn't bring me when I was 4, so they got into big trouble for that.
Yes, it was the babysitting days. I got left with the grandparents.
Yeah, well, I think with Mum and Dad both being on the organising committee, they just decided that having
a 4-year-old in tow
was probably not a good idea. And
anyway, it worked this time. All the 4-year-olds in tow.
Yeah, no, it was great to see all the littlies. And and today during the service, was that your niece?
Yes.
She's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
Just
dancing
around.
Paki, she knows Kani Kani.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so that was lovely. It was really nice that there was that it
The
just.
tug of war was fantastic on the beach.
I
though,
missed
did you
that,
say?
completely
Oh,
missed
well,
it.
I missed
Hopefully it's been
I
recorded.
missed it as well, but my teenage and 20-year-old children and stuff like that, they all went down and watched that, and they said that was a complete highlight because they had all the Henrys versus the Williams.
Yeah.
And then they had all the adults, Henry versus William, pulling apart. And I said, well, who won? And they all said, oh, the Henrys won both. And I said, well, that's just so unsurprising. No one on William's side will blink an
All
eye
too
back.
scholarly.
All the Henrys are on the land farming. They're all rough as guts, and all the Williams are far too scholarly.
Too
exactly.
cerebral.
Too cerebral to win a tug of war.
What about that? And
Oh, the Artaka Thompson coming in was really was amazing
It was
watching.
fantastic. I
and
missed
then
the get ashore.
the
off
get
the
ashore
boat.
that was really cool.
Cool, yeah.
And I think we did it over again so that when the waka came past,
Yes, they sort of repeated
we
it.
sort of repeated that. But that was
That was a slight
that was-
curveball, the timing thing, you know,
Yeah.
they invited, the Waka paddlers were invited, family that wanted to practice on the Waka and have a go,
Yeah.
turned up to have a go on the Waka prior to the Waka coming out to meet the Artaka Thompson. Only they were supposed to go for like 20 minutes and have a go.
But
and they
so
had
many
such a
people
great
turned
time.
up.
So many people turned up, and they went an hour up the river paddling. So by the time we all came back, offloaded.
Oh, so
sent
that's what
everybody.
happened.
And then they had provided, the Waka crew had provided lunch, so they sort of ate lunch. And then they realised, in fact, we're an hour late already.
Yeah.
And then they had to start paddling down the river. So that's where there was a disconnect of the timing. But the Waka came past.
And that was amazing.
Yeah,
That was
came
brilliant.
past and that was amazing. The Artaka Thompson was still sort of there and sailing off, and then we just redid the
Yeah.
arrival to the shore.
But actually, the great thing with the Artaka Thompson was, even though some of us missed it on Friday, yesterday we did a boat trip up to Kerikeri, and so I managed to miss all of the drama, which Camilla will tell you about shortly. Saturday, yeah.
But the
So the Artaka Thompson featured in the boat trip. So we got
Because it
on
was
the,
up
we,
there.
we got on the boat, and we were out in the middle of the bay, just off the island, and then we saw her out in the bay, and I said to Mark, who was the boat captain, I said, chase her down. And so it was like catching pirates. And anyway, so we took off after her, and we just got the most beautiful views of her in full sail, dealing with that massive swell.
And again, these things that people that missed the actual Artaka Thompson or
Yes.
the arrival on shore or the family, all of this was recorded. It's all videoed.
Yeah.
Everybody will have photos.
Yes,
we'll
exactly.
Be able to,
Share
sort
it.
out
Such
it
is the
all being
beauty of living in the
shared.
digital age, that we can actually
I know.
do that and
I
share
know.
that content.
It's
And then
fantastic.
another highlight of the boat trip was Camilla's most excellent podcast of reading from Caroline Fitzgerald's book, Letters from the Bay of Islands, and we had excerpts from that, from Marianne's diaries and letters with a little bit of commentary from Caroline. Everyone loved Caroline's commentary about the goats.
Yeah,
But the goats
story
being
about
used to
goats.
haul things up the beach
Haul
and
stores.
yeah.
That's one of the things about being on the committee in general, is the new skills I've learned thanks to Christina, because I've had to sort of slowly take over the newsletters as that came one too many.
You've
things
become an
like that
expert on
with Roger.
MailChimp now.
So I know how to do MailChimp, I know how to send an expert. And then last week, only on about Monday or Tuesday, we
Yeah.
decided we needed to record all these diary entries so we could just play them on
Yeah.
the boat instead of reading them. So then we had to go and set up a recording studio at Christina's borrowed house in Point Chev, and then.
And
sit
I was the
there.
producer and you're the talent.
Yes, it took quite a while
I thought
to
that
work out
would,
the microphone.
I think we did
Got
quite
there,
well.
Did very well. A couple of cups of tea.
Some
and
of
we
my editing wasn't so good because there were some
haven't heard it,
bits,
so I don't
a
care.
couple of bits repeated during the podcast.
and
So I'll
there
have to
was a
go
bit of
back and edit
stumbling
that.
and stumbling over things.
Yes, and
stumbling
actually,
up.
I had to keep the bit where you said there were 29 convicts on board the Lord
Yeah.
Sidmouth. I said, actually, there were 97 or something.
Something, yeah. It was me.
we've got about 5 minutes to take
Yeah,
left.
okay.
Margaret, could you say something about Priscilla's tour that she did?
About the house tours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so there were house tours. Well, I think they were also a huge success. People that came back said they were fantastic.
Yeah.
So the bus tours went out to the 3 Williams houses. Actually, that was a funny Priscilla story, was that John Andrews, who's the chair of the Museum Trust, and also a McLean and also a William Williams, and very cerebral and an academic
Yes.
and published author, etc., He and Priscilla were being the two guides on the two buses, and they were going out to Ngāhia and Poirua, the Williams sons' houses, swapping over, going to the retreat. But between them, they had to work out what they were going to say. Priscilla started a script, John started a script, and then Priscilla said to me, she said, I don't think John understands what a bus tour might involve, because I think his probably had footnotes.
Oh, probably.
It's just, very, very specific and detailed and academic.
She told me about the footnotes, and
Yes.
she said, what sort of person puts footnotes on a...
Yeah, so
on a tour commentary?
We've been teasing John quite a lot. He puts footnotes all over the museum
I know,
website.
bless him. But he likes to
and
reference
stuff.
his
Well,
material.
He wants
so.
people to be credited correctly.
Yes.
So all of that was great. Anyway, between them, somehow they managed to divvy up the passengers, take their guided tours, and they were hugely successful. Out at the retreat, we had Marianne Williams' ginger pound cake made from her original recipe from her 1854 recipe book from
That's
Pakaraka.
just amazing.
And so everybody turned up, got a slice of ginger pound cake. There's quite a lot of that left over at the end of the reunion.
Oh, good, because I want some.
Yes, there's plenty
It'll
of
probably
that.
freeze quite well.
Freezes very well.
Yeah. So anyway, Saturday, we've got to tell the drama about Saturday, because that's actually...
Everything went swimmingly until Saturday. And as you said, someone said the Bishop Kito's walk and talk and hikoi at Waitangi was amazing on Saturday morning. And he was congratulating himself on how well it had all gone. And then 5 minutes later, he got the call from us to say, and the marquee.
And the marquee is now blowing away and turning itself into a hot air balloon as we
So
speak.
the giant stretch marquee at Te Tii Marae that was supposed to host us on Saturday for the huge whānau festival, our biggest central event of the whole thing, plus the Sunday whakawātea. The wind was so bad it ripped the tent pegs out of when we were busy setting up. Huge crowd of teenagers had come, set up all the tables. It was looking amazing. In the
It was
morning.
almost going to be several people floating across the
Oh my
harbour.
God, it was so
attached to the
dangerous.
bottom of the marquee.
It was so dangerous, and the pegs all came away, and then it was flapping, and the whole thing was about to take off in these massive posts, and we had about 20 people sort of holding the posts and holding the marquee down while they phoned the fire brigade and phoned the tent people who were 3 hours away in Auckland, and they said, you have to take it down, you have to collapse this, and then a pole went flying, and Jackie Sanders, who's doing the Pai here 200, said, we can't stay in here, it's so dangerous, you have to get out, and you're going to all let go on 3, 2, 1, run. And we were shot out the back. We had to sort of rescue all the sound equipment and the electrical stuff, and then we were like, well, now what do we do?
Now what? And so all change, everything moved to here, to the Waitaha, and you guys
and
pulled that off
over,
in 4 hours.
People pull finger. Kirsty at the Copland was amazing. She wasn't expecting us. She had no staff. She said, I can't run a bar. We haven't topped up. We can't do anything. We'd have to source a separate marquee. The Waitangi National Trust, they said, can we come to you? And they said, no, it's too windy and they can't add anything. Same thing, no staff, nothing. And we've done this deal between them. The Waitangi National Trust sent a marquee to the lawn. The Copthorne agreed to have us. They called everyone they knew to come and staff the bar.
Amazing.
They took they got corporate approval to max their credit card. They cleaned out the whole of Countdown.
The countdown's got no wine
Countdown
left.
Pie here was cleared out of wine. And a team of all the family that were here. The teenage boys who had spent 2 hours setting up
I
the
know,
whole marquee.
Theo was exhausted.
Repeated the entire exercise again back here at the Copthorne. And it was amazing.
Last night was incredible.
There was lighting and flowers and bunting and beanbags and it just...
And festoon, though, don't forget the festoon lights.
Lighting, there was everything. Every time I turned around, something had been thought of. There were beautiful
And we had a
palm
whole
trees,
kids area set up over here.
a massive kids area, Kaylee band.
And the Kaylee band,
Kaylee
which
band
was
said, look,
a
we
great
don't need all the
success.
space of the marquee. If we're in a smaller indoor space, we need less stuff.
Yeah.
We'll just stand in the corner, we'll do this. There's
It was
room
great.
for line dancing.
Everyone loved it.
People set up all of the
And all the flowers and foliage that came
decoration.
from the retreat
clipped in the retreat garden in the morning.
by Madam over here.
It was
Amazing.
amazing.
While I was swanning around on a boat with a microphone.
There was an hour or two, there was an hour and a half to 2 in the middle where there was seriously no plan. It was highly dangerous. The wind was going, the fire brigade said it must come down, and there was no plan B.
No.
I can't believe it all happened actually. Food trucks said, the
Hey,
Copthorne
tell you
allowed
what,
us to provide
testament to the powers of organisational skills. and experiences of people like you and Kate and Leslie and Jackie and
we sat around the
Pixie
table
and
said, okay, how do we do this bar? There's one EFTPOS machine. Let's run a tab, settle up at the end
yeah,
of the night.
yeah, sort of
If you're
it.
at the Cockflawn, put it on your room. Everybody else, give your name, mobile,
Yep.
settle up at the end.
Yep.
And we're like, okay, sorted. And we just made these
Executive decisions.
Executive
Yep.
decisions quite
We're
quickly.
quite good at making decisions in our family, I think,
Yeah.
and taking
Both
leaps of
sides
faith.
both sides of the family are bossy. There are plenty of bossy people.
Yeah. So anyway, yes, very bossy, and then to today where we had that lovely service,
Yeah.
which I thought was just gorgeous, and
And it was
the
the same
sermon
thing, we
I
just
I
rolled
want
with
to
it.
relive it over and over again because the words remind me of the name of the Bishop of Tairāwhiti who
Ben
gave.
Tamahere?
Yes.
Is that who it was?
Yeah.
Amazing
Who
speech.
just incredible sermon and really touched on, you know, the fact that this has been a journey of 200 years and that we're going to, with the challenges laid down for us as the next, you know, as the current generations to carry on. But
And then at
Yes,
the end,
so it's
we
been
started and
bookended really
finished with the
nicely.
Wirral, that
Yeah.
the next challenge is let's just keep working together.
Carry on.
Let's
Yeah.
carry. There was a fabulous quote in the Palfrey about the dual heritage shared future,
Yes.
which I just thought nailed.
yeah, that's a really nice
the
way to put it.
entire experience
Yeah.
for everyone, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I'm really sad that this has all come to an end, but
We're going to collapse in a heap next
I
week.
know. I think I might spend the next few days in bed crying and sleeping and
Yeah, me watching daytime TV.
yeah. What's been going on in the world?
What is there to do?
Yeah, I've got nothing to do.
Yeah, until 2026 for William and Jane's arrival.
Yes, we're going to do something in 2026.
Or their actual arrival in August of this year.
Yes.
We'll be back here for that.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't. They won't be able to keep us away. We'll be annoying them for years to
Or
come.
even sooner, Matariki. It's all the whole year, right?
And then eventually, when we come back in 25 years, that tuku will be leaning on it.
Yes.
The old crones.
I'm just going to be a guest next time.
Just picking holes, making
I'm a
lots of
guest.
helpful suggestions
Nothing
to
else.
the
Except
then
like
organising
Priscilla.
committee.
Like Priscilla was only coming as a guest. but
Yes.
No, and Shu said to me, he said, you won't be only a guest, you'll be in the thick of it, rolling your eyes at everything they're doing wrong.
Yes,
Maybe.
too true,
Maybe.
too true. Yeah,
That sums it up,
I think it does.
doesn't it?
I think it was great. Just the closing statement, I'm just thinking from my video brain of, look, the event was just nice and short and precise, a bit more. The event was great. I'm glad everyone came and had a fantastic
Yeah.
time and we got it all, you know, just
Yeah.
that finish.
Okay. Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So I think big ups to the family for turning up,
I was about to
to
say
the
same.
marae for giving us such a wonderful welcome, to Jackie and
thing
her
I'm
crew, the
most-
Māori wardens who
yeah.
were amazing, and the whole event has
Māori
just
Wardens,
been
Karafu
amazing.
Trust, the marae,
Yeah.
everyone. I think the big thing for me was that people had faith in it being worth turning up to.
Come to, and I think
Buying a
everyone had a
ticket and
really
going.
amazing time. All of the feedback has just been so
Yeah.
positive.
It's been so positive, and
Yeah.
I had a ball. I loved organising it.
Yeah.
That's fine, and I just think the whole thing was a huge success.
Yeah, I agree. What she said.
Big ups to us.
Yeah, big ups to us. Yay, us.